When I woke up, I couldn't remember my name. The last thing I recalled was the cold hum of my ship's reactor, the flashing warning lights, and the explosion that hurled me into nothingness. Now, I was staring at a ceiling that pulsed with light like a living thing. The air smelled faintly metallic, yet sweet, too clean to be human. I tried to move, but a smooth, gelatinous restraint held me in place. Soft, melodic voice spoke. "Do not struggle. The regeneration cycle is almost complete." My eyes adjusted. Standing beside me was a tall figure. Her skin a luminescent shade of silver blue. Her large black eyes reflected the room like twin pools of glass. She wore something that looked like a medical uniform, if silk and holograms had a child. "Where am I?" I managed to whisper. "You are aboard the Kiro's sanctuary vessel, orbiting the remains of your ship," she said. "You were the only survivor." Her name, I later learned, was Lunara, a nurse of the Ilari, a species so advanced they'd mastered biological technology. Everything on their ship breathed, moved, and responded like a living organism. For the first week, she treated me, mending my broken ribs with shimmering gel, repairing the burns with microscopic light creatures that danced over my skin. She was calm, efficient, but not cold. When she smiled, it was like light bending through water. And slowly, something began to change between us. She would linger after the medical scans, asking questions about Earth, about our music, about emotion, a concept the Ilari understood intellectually, but not personally. I told her about sunsets over oceans, about the taste of coffee, about loneliness. She listened with fascination, and something else I couldn't name. One night, during a power cycle, she sat beside me, her bioluminescence dimmed to a gentle glow. "Human," she said softly, "your body produces warmth even when idle. We find that remarkable." I laughed. "That's just metabolism." She tilted her head. "No, it is something more. It is as if your body carries a piece of your spirit in every cell." Her words lingered in the air between us, charged like static before a storm. Middle, the bond and the revelation. Weeks passed. I regained my strength, but I didn't want to leave. The Ilari were logical to a fault, but around me, Lunara seemed to break that pattern. She started asking questions that made her superiors uneasy. "Why do you grieve?" she once asked. "Because it means we cared," I replied. "Then, caring is suffering." "Sometimes. But it's also what makes us human." That night she touched my hand. Curious, deliberate. Her fingers felt like silk dipped in moonlight. "Your skin conducts warmth differently," she whispered. "We feel it like resonance." That touch was the first ripple in a current neither of us could stop. A few days later, during a joint experiment to study genetic healing responses, she asked for a sample of my DNA. "A standard procedure," she said. We worked side by side for hours in the biolab, the hum of the living machinery surrounding us. Something strange happened when my cells merged with her biotech interface. The organisms reacted wildly. Glowing, splitting, evolving. Lunara's expression flickered with awe and alarm. "This should not be possible," she murmured. "Human genetic material is compatible." Before I could ask what she meant, alarms blared through the ship. The system had detected a genetic breach, an unauthorized cross-species reaction. They separated us, quarantined me, and locked her in a containment chamber. For 3 days I saw no one. Then the door opened, and Lunara walked in, pale and trembling. "Lunara, what happened?" She hesitated. Her voice was calm, but her eyes glowed brighter than ever. "You got me pregnant, human." The words hung in the air, absurd, impossible. I laughed, a reflex. But her expression didn't change. I am not joking, she said quietly. Our cells fused beyond what the system could contain. My body is nurturing a hybrid. I stood there speechless. That's not biologically possible. For the Ilari it was not. Until now. Her hand went to her abdomen, faintly luminescent beneath the surface of her skin. The council wants to terminate it, she continued. They say it violates the harmony codes. They fear it could destabilize our genome. I took a step closer. And what do you want? She looked up, meeting my gaze. I do not know. But when I think of this life inside me, I feel something I have never felt before. Something human. Middle of the escape. The next days were chaos. The Ilari Council ordered her confinement, but Lunara refused. She came to me under the cover of power fluctuations, her skin pulsing like starlight in panic. They will erase me, she said. Not kill, erase. My existence, my memories, everything. The child, too. We had one chance, the escape pod system. I didn't know how to pilot Ilari tech, but she did. Where will we go? I asked as we prepared. Somewhere your people will not find us, and mine will not follow. As the alarms rang again, we ran through the corridors of the living ship. The walls pulsed red like veins, warning others of our betrayal. I felt my heart hammering as I realized what we were doing, defying an interstellar civilization for something neither of us fully understood. At the hangar bay, she stopped suddenly. Wait. Her hand trembled as she touched her abdomen again. It's reacting. The child senses fear. How do you know? I just feel it. Then she smiled faintly. That is your gift, human. Emotion, it is contagious. We launched the pod. The explosion behind us sent waves of blue fire across the void. For a moment I thought we were done for, but the pod's organic shielding enveloped us like a cocoon. Days turned into weeks. We drifted between dead moons and plasma storms, hiding from the Ilari patrols that searched for her. We talked for hours in that cramped space, about what our child might become, about whether it would breathe air or light, whether it would dream. She began to weaken as the gestation progressed. Her kind didn't reproduce physically. Their young were usually cultured in energy matrices. Her body wasn't meant to bear life this way. Still, she refused to let go. Climax, the birth and the choice. One night, under the soft glow of a dying star, she woke me with a sound I'll never forget. A gasp, sharp and full of both pain and wonder. It's time, she whispered. The pod systems adapted instinctively, reshaping into a cradle of light. Her bioluminescent veins flared like constellations under her skin. I held her hand as the air filled with shimmering energy. Then silence. In her arms, wrapped in a cocoon of blue light, floated something small and impossibly beautiful. Translucent, breathing softly, its body shifting between human and Ilari features like ripples on water. Our child, she said weakly. It is alive. I looked at the being and tears filled my eyes. He or she. It does not matter. It is both, and neither. But Lunara's glow began to fade. Her voice trembled. My body cannot sustain both of us. The hybrid drains my life force. You must take it before I fade. No. We can find a way. She shook her head gently. Promise me one thing. Raise it with emotion. With warmth. Let it feel what I could not. Her eyes dimmed, her hand slipping from mine. The pod filled with a burst of white light, and then she was gone. All that remained was the child, glowing softly in my arms. Ending, the return and the legacy. I drifted for months, guided only by instinct and starlight. Finally, a human deep space probe intercepted the pod near the Saturn outposts. When they found me, I was barely conscious, clutching a small, cocooned being that pulsed like a heartbeat. The scientists took us in. They ran tests, scans, endless analyses. They couldn't explain the child's biology. Half human, half something beyond comprehension. They called it Project Lumina. Called it hope. As years passed, hope grew fast, absorbing knowledge like light. They could speak all languages, heal with a touch, sense emotion through bioelectric resonance. But most of all they felt. They felt joy when I laughed, sadness when I cried. They could make machines bloom like flowers, and their laughter could bend sound. One night when they were 5 years old, they asked me, "Father, where is my mother?" I told them the truth, or as much as I could bear. About Lunara, the alien nurse who risked everything for something she didn't understand, but chose anyway. Hope listened quietly, then smiled. She's still here, inside the light. And I realized they were right. Because every time Hope touched something, it shimmered, just like Lunara's glow. Epilogue, years later. It's been 20 years since that day. Humanity has made contact with the Ilari again, cautiously, diplomatically. They don't speak of Lunara. Perhaps they erased her from their records. But I know they remember. Sometimes when I look up at the night sky, I see a faint shimmer that wasn't there before, like a heartbeat pulsing across the stars. And I imagine her watching, proud of what we created. A bridge between two species. Child of light and warmth. A reminder that even across galaxies, love, in whatever form it takes, is the most powerful force in existence. Because once, on a ship made of living light, an alien nurse looked at me and said, "You got me pregnant, human." And in that impossible moment, the universe itself changed forever.